Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Podwans Podcast. I am your host, Luke. As you can see, I am the only one here. Char had a prior engagement, and you can probably see that we've got an awesome guest, but I've also got a lot of different other people coming in. So let's get to it.
You never would have made it as Obi-Wan's Padawan, but you might make it as mine.
Welcome again. Now time to bring on the man of the hour, who it was supposed to be me and obviously my co-host Char and Choco.
Hello there.
After how long? How long has this been on the calendar?
It's a real long time, and got moved around a bit, but you know, we're here, we're living.
Oh yeah, ready to talk some Clone Wars, do some fun Ryloth Arc. It's gonna be a fun time.
It's a criminally underrated arc. I think this is actually one of the best arcs in the Clone Wars. Certainly my favorite of season 1. So excited to talk about it.
All right, you're not the only first person coming in. We've got Malik Frierson.
So excited to be here. Long-time listener, short-time fan. Very excited to be
here. Absolutely. Glad
very
to have you on.
Yes,
I'm gonna ask a question, but I'm gonna introduce everybody first, and then I will we'll get to know each other a little bit more. Next up,
saucy.
Oh yeah, it's gonna get real personal. Next up, Chris, StarWarsLawyer.
Hello, what have we here?
Oh man, saucy! It's just like Lando's here right now. I tell you what. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just chilling.
Glad to be here. I'm glad you guys decided to come on. I appreciate it a whole lot. And another newcomer, Bryan. With the beard.
Hello.
Beard man,
yeah.
Bryan.
Thank you for having me on. I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
Ready to talk some Ryloth, though.
Absolutely.
Your beard looks really nice today. Like
exactly.
I saw you last night, and it's different, you know?
Let me just tell you this right now. Bryan, he has like the best camera ever. It like gets every single feature. It's ridiculous. That's why his beard just looks so good. All right, that's my philosophy.
Good beard, hydration. Stay hydrated.
Built his entire personality around
water. And finally, he's been on the pod before, Mr. Hereth Productions.
You guys already know me.
How's it going, guys? All right. So before we get started in Ryloth, Choco, I'm gonna start with you. What got you into this little thing that we call Star Wars?
Woo! Yeah, for me, it's sorry about Suki. She chose.
I'm surprised.
Right now.
I'm surprised Chewie isn't barking either. So we're good.
But so my mom was a closet nerd, and I grew up with a VHS tape of Empire Strikes Back that I just watched over and over again. Even though I watched a lot of things that had like puppets, and I was terrified of them, but I couldn't stop watching them. So, that's me laughing hysterically when Yoda is acting all senile, and then getting terrified when he gets serious.
And where
can we find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me on TikTok at Darth Choco, as well as YouTube. Hopefully we get to daily uploads soon, but we'll be there. We're getting there. I also have an Instagram, Darth.Choco, and that's it for now. That's all. I get saucy on Twitter, so I don't want you guys to see that.
Every single time he either comes on like a podcast, or I'm on a podcast with him, and we bring up Twitter, it's like the dark side of Choco comes out, and he just like rips on people, and I absolutely love it.
Hey, Hereth has seen it.
Oh, for sure.
I've seen it.
That's true.
And Malik,
Hi.
where can the good people follow you? And also, same question.
All right, so it's pretty funny. My aunt was actually the opposite of a closet nerd. My aunt was a mega nerd, and she showed me Star Wars when I was really young, but it didn't really stick at first. Like, I remember my first Star Wars movie was Return of the Jedi, and the only thing I remembered was Jabba the Hutt, and he just stuck with me for like several years. I then reached middle school, and Spike TV kept playing they before Disney purchased, they kept doing the marathons, and eventually I was flipping channels. I came across Phantom Menace was on, and they did the marathon, all the prequels. I'm like, let's get into this. And little did I know, like, my life would change as I then experienced some of the greatest like few hours in my life as I watched all the prequels and all of the original trilogy on Spike TV.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, people can find me on TikTok at the Jedi Smark. I make content talking about Star Wars, wrestling, and other nerdy stuff that I like talking about. And also, I have a podcast. Exclamation point! It's a podcast with one A, Luke.
Look at the crawl.
No, but like I'm still gonna give him grief about it because I gotta. But yeah, wherever podcasts are found, at Spotify, Audible, Amazon podcast.
You didn't do the voice right.
We're doing a Halloween episodes right now called "Boo!" It's a podcast. So yeah.
And to the lawyer himself, who is probably going to end up being my lawyer if I ever need him.
Why? What are you doing, Luke?
Hey,
what criminal activity are you up to, Luke?
We're shooting for the stars.
Do not incriminate yourself.
Putting it in football terms, a lawyer is like a kicker. You never know you need a good one until you need it.
Exactly. You never know. I don't know. I'm just...
As a Lions fan, I know what it's like to have a great kicker and then just have a kicker fired every week. So, you know.
True.
But yeah, so how'd I get into Star Wars? So I got into it primarily because my older brother would just faithfully watch the original trilogy like on a weekly basis. And I would sit down there at some point and watch it with him. Don't know how much of it I was consuming. But then The Phantom Menace came out, and my consciousness began when Darth Maul activated that second lightsaber. And I'm just like, and it's been a wrap from there. That was the, lead dropping the weights moment. Like this, I'm all in.
Mm-hmm.
For the rest of my life, I'm all in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can find me on TikTok and Instagram and Twitch at StarWarsLawyer. I'm monopolizing that before, the other people, anybody else tries to take it. And I also have a podcast, Too Black, Too Nerdy, that can be wherever you listen to podcasts. We are now on Spotify. Don't know what took us so long, but we're now on Spotify.
There you go.
So yeah.
Bryan with the beard. Bryan with the beard man. Bryan with red.
That's me. So you want to know how I got into Star Wars?
Yeah.
As a young, I think 3 or 4 year old, I used to come down in the morning especially on the weekends, and watch TV by myself because everyone would be asleep. And so we had like a shelf of VHS tapes. And my favorite thing to watch, I probably watched them 50 to like 100 times each, was the original trilogy box set that my dad had. They were the specialized editions, whatever. This was the 90s, they had come out, but that's how I fell in love with Star Wars. And then like Chris said, when The Phantom Menace came out and I finally was able to see Star Wars in the theaters as a 5-year-old was amazing. And from there, it brings us to now.
Repeat all that. I was too busy staring at your beard the whole time.
Stop it.
Please.
Where you can find me, this here is my TikTok. I don't really post anything, but if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm just as I get into it with some people once in a while. But that's Gingerbeard Man on TikTok, as Gingerbeard Man.
There you go.
So Twitter is the spot right now for Star Wars discourse that gets out of control.
Yeah, apparently. Hereth, you
Hi,
want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Hereth. Answering your question about how I got into Star Wars. Again, like most people, my father was a huge nerd. At the age of 5, he introduced me to the 2006 DVDs of Star Wars, which was obviously the special editions. And again, like everyone else, I was a fan of it. Not really that much. I was equally as Marvel and Star Wars. Then saw The Force Awakens in theater. Became a huge fan. Here we are.
Yeah, it's very, 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 very similar. I mean, my first experience was obviously like everybody else's, was like the VHSs, and then kind of like more similar to Bryan and Chris's experience of seeing Phantom Menace in the theaters. And my mom kind of likes Star Wars, but like that, being a kid that has ADHD and is kind of like obsessive compulsive, that's where I really grasped on to it. So yeah, and I mean, Star Wars has brought in so much to me, like everybody meeting all of you guys and doing a podcast and just being able to grow a community is just so great. So again, thank you all for being on. I feel blessed. So let's get into it. We are breaking down the Ryloth Arc. This is probably, in my opinion, the best arc in season 1. So it's episodes 19, 20, and 21, I believe. Yes. So the first episode, well, before we do that, we're at the end. So just so all of my guests here and the people in the chat, at the end of the after the end of we get through the entire arc, we've got rankings of the arc. So Youngling is meh, Padawan's good, Jedi Knight great, Jedi Master is amazing, and Grandmaster is chef kiss. So it's like the creme de la creme, like obviously Mortis for most people, Siege of Mandalore for most people. But yeah, those are just a few, and then we'll get into some Star Wars news. We'll chop it up, see what's going on this week. But let's get into it. So, episode 19, Storm over Ryloth, pretty much where we're at in the war. The Separatists have taken over Ryloth. They are basically enslaving the Twi'leks, and this actually canonically is later in the series, technically, because I think, what is it, season 4 or 5? There's the I'm gonna die, the Jedi, and how you see a lot of parallels when Cham in the 3rd episode of this arc mentions Jedi. That's his first experience, is I'm gonna die, with them being attacked by the Separatists the first time. So we start off with basically Anakin and Ahsoka taking on the entire fleet by themselves with just their cruiser. And this episode, you get to see Ahsoka's growth. Like it's the real first like character development of Ahsoka. You start to see what kind of character she's going to be. This can be an open floor discussion. Whoever wants to go first. What are your guys' thoughts on Ahsoka throughout this arc, throughout this episode in particular? Like the steps she takes. Anybody?
It's definitely a necessary one. I like about this whole thing. I don't agree with the Jedi's decision. Let's make the Padawans commanders for the clones. That doesn't seem smart. They are still just kids at the end of the day. And like Ahsoka, it's definitely something she needs to learn, as she goes through war. But still, it's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in their defense, the clones are also children.
Yeah.
All right.
True.
Semantics.
Ahsoka's actually older than
I mean, like, the other thing is like, it's one thing if this is Phantom Menace Obi-Wan as a Padawan being a commander, because he was 25. Granted, he was really old for a Padawan, but like, if you took someone that was like Anakin's 19 as a Padawan or 18 as a Padawan, and you're like, okay, they have a bit more experience, but I wouldn't want an 18-year-old commanding me on the battlefield, no matter if I was 10 years old. Like, like
10 years going on 35, apparently.
Right.
It's just this young girl in a tube top saying, "Hey, like, I'm gonna lead you into battle now."
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, and so in that she's just starting off as a Padawan learner, but she's been through a bunch of battles before, so now it's like, okay, now you get to lead one, and she takes a lot after her master, which is hilarious, because then Anakin has to take out after his master, which is equally as hilarious. And that's kind of one of the things that was that's evident throughout the show, is Anakin is saying, "Do as I say, not as I do."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But it is nice that you really get to see how much it weighs on her when things don't go right.
Mhm.
And when she's certain, like, okay, no, I can do it just a little further. But then she almost gets everyone killed because they weren't there to protect them. So
Correct me if I'm wrong. She does this again, doesn't she, later on in the show?
Yes.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yes, she does. Yes, she
different
does.
situation, but yes,
Yes.
Different situation, but she still has trouble following orders.
Gotcha. Well, makes sense.
Good soldiers follow orders.
You're damn right they do.
mean, and the other thing, I like in the beginning when everybody's like, "You ready for your first command? You nervous? You're nervous? You're nervous?" It's like, can you just slap us in the face with foreshadowing? Can you just do it? Because it's just like it's constant, and like when she does come back, it like Choco was saying, it really does breaks her in a sense, because she feels like she's invincible in that moment. She feels like she can do anything. She says, "Come on, boys, we can do this." And when Anakin and Yularen are back on the shuttle, they're like what? It's like, what is she doing? Like, call her back. And it's a very good parallel between what Anakin's personality is and what Ahsoka's is. And like Chris and Malik, I think both of them mentioned this. It's like how Anakin has to turn around and be the Obi-Wan figure, and it's kind of similar. He's able to relate to Ahsoka more because he's the same way, which I feel like that apprentice, master and apprentice relationship grows so well as it does in the entire series. Bryan, Hereth,
Yes.
anything to add?
Yeah. Agreed.
I would just add that, like, it is funny watching this now years later how similar this is to the beginning of The Last Jedi.
Ooh.
When Poe decides like I got this, like, and he loses almost everyone in his bomber wing. Well, no, he loses every bomber, right? And then most of the other fighters. And Ahsoka returns, begrudgingly after multiple orders to return. So she doesn't lose everyone, but she loses almost her entire squadron in a very similar fashion. So
yeah,
it's kind of incredible. Like, it's like almost the same thing.
Hereth?
Bryan stole the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Damn. Before we get into the next thing, we gotta get some love to the chat. Brooke, thanks for coming. We appreciate it. Element, thank you.
Yeah.
Brooke had a little other thing to say. Bryan, making content. I think a guest appearance counts.
No, doesn't count.
Not with that attitude.
By the way, how dare you, Bryan? Because I've tried to get you on the podcast.
I know. I knew like your Element would say something. I'm gonna be like, okay.
Have to.
This was partially Char's fault because he had like other prior obligations. So we were like, how do we get like everyone on to make Char feel sad that he couldn't show up tonight? So
I mean,
okay.
Oma.
that wasn't the intention, but I guess if that works.
that's what it ended up being.
It was Brian's
Uh,
motivation.
Yeah.
That's why I recruited everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a feeling with
Aiden-
this many people, it's going to be a long podcast.
yeah, there's gonna be a lot of points. Hayden talking Star Wars topics. Can't wait to have him on. He's gonna be on with Hereth for Geonosis. Chris, he's here. He's
Hey
here.
everyone.
I appreciate the love. Kieran, rip Char. I mean,
he gets it.
we're not trying to kick a guy when he's down, but you know. Back to the comment of what Chris said about a 10-year-old leading. Element's got something to say about that. He goes, I don't know. When I was 10, I thought 16-year-olds were old as F.
This is true.
Yeah,
It
that is true.
Very, very true.
Can I-
Absolutely.
I just want to say one more thing about this episode. I absolutely love the villain of this episode, the Separatist General, because he sounds more robotic than the droid.
Yes,
It's like,
he
fire
does.
the cannons, fire. It's so good.
And why do all
Treachery, Skywalker.
I feel like that's like how the Nemoidians talk, because they talk like that in episode 1. I mean, Gunray and what's his face? I can't ever remember his posse.
Lot Dodd or something.
Yes, Lock Dodd. They all talk like that. So I mean, yeah, it is funny. Very robotic.
His is a bit more stiff. Like Gunroy, he like I heard all I hear is SpongeBob because that's who voices him.
True.
I forgot about that.
Shooter or something.
Yep.
Yeah,
Where are the
It-
droid
it-
actors?
It,
This
it also
guy's. Oh,
go ahead, Choco.
Just gonna say. Also, it's something Took is the character's name, and he was actually named after Dave Filoni's cat.
Oh.
The more you know. The more you know. Also, another thing that I saw in like the first part of this is the relationship between Anakin and Yularen. Again, with this being later, their relation, you don't really get to see that relationship. You see it in the back end of how it was before this moment. And like I feel like him and Yularen really, really are like buddy. Now, here's the thing. What do we think? Do we think Yularen might have known that he was Vader?
If he knew, he never said anything.
Because I feel like canon-wise, they didn't really say anything. We like only Tarkin, Palpatine, and Masamita know, right?
And
I mean,
Thrawn-
other people
and Thrawn.
figured it out. Thrawn figured it out, and there's a few, Jedi remnants who figured it out and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But yeah,
I feel like if you were in the know, like either like high up in like the Republic military or you were a Jedi that was still alive, I feel like Anakin Skywalker being Vader is like being in Gotham and figuring out Bruce Wayne is Batman. It's not that hard of a leap in logic. It's just proving it that's difficult.
Well, and like how Clark Kent is Superman. He's never around.
well, it's kind of like what Morgan Freeman says in it's like, you think he runs around beating people up dressed as a bat?
Yeah,
You're
just like
gonna
called
blackmail
out
him?
like
And
it
you're gonna
sounds-
blackmail him?
it's true and it sounds so ridiculous. He's saying like, you really think that the Anakin Skywalker is in a black suit force choking people?
And you want to expose him?
Yeah, I'm
Good
just
luck.
saying, if Yularen knew and said, it's like, oh, Anakin, rip, like Yularen.
Yeah.
Keep your mouth
This
shut
is
with
true.
that information, because what are you going to do with it? You going to go tell these people?
Makes me think of
No.
when the librarian, what's her name?
Jocasta
Jocasta
knew.
knew.
Jocasta knew. Yeah, when she told stormtroopers, and then all those stormtroopers go flying out of the ship.
Mhm.
How do we feel about Yularen like as a person? Do we like him? Because like he's so conflicting for me. Because like he was a cool dude in Clone Wars, but he just gets so pro Empire, and I'm like, ugh.
I mean, he was just following orders, I guess. But like everybody else is just like I don't know. I
That's a
like you
bad
aren't in the Clone Wars.
Following
Sus.
orders is a bad excuse for war crimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah,
bad
this is
excuse for
true.
being a fascist, Luke.
Hey.
See, but what
Not-
are war crimes in the Star Wars universe?
This is true.
Sounds like a topic for the high ground with me and the other Star Wars lawyers.
Bam.
Chris is
Bam.
writing his own ticket here.
No, that's actually similar to what I what I
There
was
you
talking
go.
about. But yeah,
Yeah, Choco and I have talked about this before.
That's awesome. Carter, Car2D2 in the chat. Thanks, buddy. We appreciate it.
My co-host.
Loving the profile picture.
Oh yeah, just flexing. Oh, you should see him do bottle flips. That's even better.
I don't care about the flips. I care about the celebration after.
Oh yeah. The celebrations are top notch. It's like he just won the Super Bowl.
It's a celebration.
But back to the episode. So after Ahsoka goes through all this trauma, Anakin, they have to jump into hyperspace away from the planet, and it kind of gives them time to strategize. Anakin, the thing is with Anakin here in this episode, he is one that he's got to figure out a way to get Ahsoka back on top, because he knows that if she cannot perform, if she can't help him, there's no way they're going to win the battle. And he does it in such a very interesting way. He basically throws her into the fire, like,
Yeah,
all right, here we go. I'm gonna take command of the other vessel, and Ahsoka's gonna tell you the rest of the plan, and she has no idea. and he's just like, here you go, do it. And you know what? It's weird. It works out.
There's a moment beforehand I absolutely love. It's when Anakin's trying to talk to Ahsoka before that, and Rex shows up and goes, "Hey, Anakin, Mace Windy wants to talk to you." Anakin just goes like, he's like, he doesn't want to talk to me.
I don't want to talk to him.
I mean, I think it's interesting because it's reminiscent of, so Ahsoka sees Anakin as a brother, and I'm sure Anakin sees Ahsoka as a sister, versus where, Anakin saw Obi-Wan and Obi-Wan saw Qui-Gon as father figures, and then they became equals. So it's, like, I don't know if you all have siblings. Like, I have older brothers. So there was a difference between when I was learning a lesson / being scolded by my brothers versus like my dad or my mom.
Yeah.
And so I feel like with siblings, they're more likely like, all right, let's give you another chance and go.
Yeah.
True. It's just crazy to like for Anakin just be like, okay, I'm just gonna go do this. Like, you guys just figure something out on the way in hyperspace. Like,
It's very on brand for him, though.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Good luck, everybody else.
on top of that, I pointed out while we were watching it that like, although the one ship was damaged, it's still like millions, billions, trillions of credits worth of ship that could be repaired. And he's like, no, it's a missile now.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, we're gonna finish. This ship's gone now, but we're gonna win, so we're good.
We're gonna.
I do love though how this kind of contextualizes how war works, because a lot of times like we think about it in terms of like engagements, but no, there's people who are starving and stuff down there. We need to help them or they will not survive. You blew all the ships, but we can't get through this. You need to break this blockade by the time we get there so that we can save them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really cool to see, to get this. We don't get this a lot in the Clone Wars, of a big 30,000 foot view of how war works. It's not just I won this battle. There's way more moving parts that are important for overall success.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hereth.
Yeah, I was gonna make a joke that it's the hold on maneuver before the hold on maneuver. Just obviously that the light speed.
So slow, just
Methodically, just like pulling out and just going.
Anakin has already hyperspace jumped a ship into a planet by this time. He did that to the Malevolence.
Oh,
yes.
you're right.
True.
I love the Empire Strikes Back moment too when after the Separatist Journal leaves, the one droid painted yellow like takes command. He has the little like holograms of him, and one of the ships gets blown up. The little hologram disappears, just like in Empire Strikes Back. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that's great.
Yeah, and it's
Chef's kiss on that. Sorry, getting ahead.
no. Go ahead.
Well, because Dave Filoni was a fan of the expanded universe before coming to work for Star Wars. So like the Mark Sable maneuver he stole from Thrawn.
Oh, okay.
I just read about that from the Thrawn books.
Is it in
Yeah,
Heir of the Empire?
It's in Heir to the Empire, yeah.
Okay.
And named the Mark Sable. It's the same exact move. And Dave Filoni even talks about like him being young and reading that, and as an artist, like drawing it. And when he got an opportunity, he's like, "Yes, let's put that in." And it's funny because then in the future, if they have to be like, "Okay, well then since in the timeline Thrawn would know about it later," yeah, they had to do a whole thing. But
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I never knew. I have not dabbled in the Legends material very often, and I've always been told that Heir to the Empire Thrawn trilogy, the old Thrawn trilogy, is literally the best thing.
That's good.
I will have to dabble into that. But I love the fact that Anakin, again, and this gets foreshadowed throughout the entire time, he uses peace offerings. He's using peace offerings and then ends up doing massive destruction. He tricks the commander into thinking that everybody's on board, and then all of a sudden the droid goes, "There's only one life form," and he turns around, "Skywalker, what is this treachery?" And you just see the smirk on Anakin's face, like, "Ha, got him."
At least this time he didn't straight lie. The other times he straight lies. This time he's like, "You get everyone that's on my ship as a captive."
What he said was true from a certain point of view.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like the line where it's like, oh, okay. Oh, well, I'll just leave. You can still have my ship though. You just leave.
He still gave him the ship. Delivered to your door. There you go.
Yeah. But like him being able to like again deceive, but not like just being able to use that as a tactic every single time. You think the droids would start to pick up like, I've seen that before. He's known for it. And it's like even in the episode, the guy goes, "Pull the file on Skywalker." Like, okay, so we just got files on everybody then? Is that how this goes? Like,
if someone was to have a file, it would be Anakin.
Yeah.
that's very true.
No, but like in war, military intelligence is like one of the most essential like weapons you can have. And so in a war like this, where it's like if Anakin or certain Jedi are going to pull like the same moves over and over again, like that kind of stuff is important, as we see later on when you have the droid that like can like compute like everything that it thinks they're going to do like a lot smarter. So like, and then obviously Echo later down the road, but like, you know what I mean? Like knowing is a better weapon than the world's biggest gun.
Yeah.
No, yeah. And Aiden also added the "and Admiral, you can keep my ship." That is a great line in this episode. Really, but back on the other ship, when the other ship's in hyperspace, the clones start to. You're good. So the clones are not. They have a little bit of doubt in Ahsoka because she has failed. She's really young, so it's kind of like what Chris was saying earlier. You're really gonna trust a 10-year like they look at her as she's younger because she is a Padawan, so they don't really they don't have a whole lot of faith. And it's even said, if General Skywalker here, I'd feel a lot better. And then finally, when she's like, "You know what, we're gonna do this because it's going to work, and I know it's gonna work because Anakin told me that it was gonna work," or she just comes up with it. She's very, very smart and off on the fly with the plan. And it also doesn't hurt when Yularen comes up behind you and goes, "Yeah, it'll work," because it's a complete 180 change from him being like she's insubordinate to I can trust her.
Mm-hmm.
And that says a lot about you, Lauren.
Lauren's great.
He does a lot of trusting in this episode. So
It also, oh, my bad.
No, go.
That moment reminds me of Attack of the Clones when they're on Naboo and Governor Bilbo asks Anakin's like, "What do you think, Master Jedi?" And then Padme's like, "Oh no, Anakin's just a Padawan learner. He's not a master yet." And
No.
Anakin's just like, "Excuse me?"
Just puts him in his place. And you know that doesn't change at all.
But he's like, "I didn't even do anything. I'm just an innocent bystander. I'm taking shots."
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else got anything on that little back and forth about Ahsoka and just being able to get that respect from the troopers and the soldiers?
I mean, it's got to be difficult, like you guys said, because you know she's so young and inexperienced. But as someone that is strong in the Force, has extra instincts, extra insights and stuff, that others will just not be aware of. And that moment where they're like, "Oh, I wish Anakin was here." No offense, but I wish we had. I wish we had an actual leader aboard. Again, no offense. You're like, come on, man. But it's nice to see her step up because it's easy to acquiesce, But she did what she did.
Yeah.
In the beginning, her wingmen definitely seemed like more confident in her because she was also more confident in herself in the first attack, which obviously didn't go well. And so when she was doubting herself after that because she screwed up pretty badly, they definitely saw that and were like, "Oh, she's not even sure in herself." And so, she also, out of the fight that came, got her confidence back. And so that helped them believe in her as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Anybody else got anything to add on that one? No? All right. So, talking about the Separatist commander, Malik hit it on the head. Like that, he's not a buffoon, but he's like he's in the middle. He's not dumb, but he's not he's not smart. Like, you know what I mean? He's like in the middle, and he very much he underestimates Anakin in the beginning, and at the end, and I thought it was hilarious when he goes, "Stay here, I'll be back." Like Malik had mentioned before.
He's
And
like,
it's
I don't think
he's
you're
not
coming
coming
back,
back. No, he's not coming back. Like that's the typical bad guy thing. Like, I'm screwed, I'm getting out of here. And you see that a lot in this arc in particular.
Time to abandon ship.
I like what Tom Moore is like the overarching presence throughout the the 2 episodes before we get to the third one. We finally get him. He's like, "What's going on? What's going on?"
It's the remix.
Yeah.
It is interesting to see what the droid self-preservation is like. Like, are they programmed to want to survive, or are they just programmed to do their job even if they know imminent death, destruction doesn't matter? You know what I mean? Because they're just they're trapped on the ship now, and it's okay. I guess we doing what we do until we blow up, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
then
it paints a picture of pretty much most Star Wars villains that we see is that they're pretty much all arrogant, and that leads to their downfall pretty much every time. From good old Sheev to Thrawn to everybody in between,
to Anakin himself at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, Anakin's arrogance is from episode 2 through every other connective material through.
It doesn't
episode
catch
6.
up to him until really that point. It works out for him most of the time in Clone Wars. For the most part, he's known for it because it works, and then he doesn't have the high ground, and he's a little too bold, a little too brash, a little too overconfident. He's like, "Oh, okay."
Bold and brash, more belongs in the trash.
But that's
now
kind of like a through line through all three of these episodes, in my
Mhm.
opinion. Like the first one, you get the commander that's too proud, right? The next one, you get the situation where it's about respecting the people and those that are lowly, and that's the path to victory. And that's why they lose. And the third one, Wat Tambor is he's just trying to get the goods. Like he's just trying to rob the planet and just like peace out. But we'll get there.
No, yeah, absolutely. And then obviously when all the chaos happens and they use it to their advantage, Ahsoka's able to take out the rest of the fleet. What is that maneuver called? Because I can never remember it.
Flipping it on its side. I don't know. That's what I
Well,
kept calling it.
it's got a
The
maneuver.
Marg Sable.
Mark Zabel. Okay, because I'm pretty sure it's mentioned in other canon sources that was done. Am I correct?
Yes,
on
yeah,
that?
the Thrawn trilogy, and the Can't Thrawn trilogy, it is referenced. I know that because I just read those recently.
I
Okay.
just realized something. What if that comes into play later with Ahsoka? What if Thrawn, when he meets Ahsoka, references that?
That'd be cool.
Ooh, that would be.
I bet money it will.
That makes a whole lot of sense, especially because Thrawn has spent time with both Vader and Anakin. So, I don't know if they ever talked about Ahsoka. Did they in Alliances? I couldn't remember.
They do. Not Thrawn and Ahsoka, but Anakin does reference Ahsoka a couple of times. Yeah, he says. Yeah, I think he said something along the lines of like my Padawan, and then like he kind of just like phases out kind of Vader style.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, and then at the end of the episode, Obi-Wan and the rest of the fleet shows up, and he says, he says something witty like, "Not surprised that Anakin's fleet is all gone."
He's like, I'm not even gonna ask what happened here. Let's just move on.
yeah. Him and Mace are just standing there, just like,
It's absolutely the meme from Community where he comes back with the pizza and everything's on fire. It's like-
yes. I love that episode, by the way.
It's like
Great.
Yularen has a concussion. Anakin's in the escape pod. The entire fleet's gone. Let's just go to Ryloth.
Yeah, let's try to save these people. So now we are into the ground assault. We've got the space battle. We got Numa. Episode 20, Innocence of Ryloth. We start off seeing the droid general taking hostages, which is villain 101. You always take a hostage to make the stakes high as you can possibly make it, because you got to make it to where the audience has to wonder, are we going to get out of this or not? At least the people that are the commoner Twi'leks, because we already know Anakin and Obi-Wan's all their stories. We all know how that plays out, but it gives it a little bit more weight. The other thing about this episode that I really liked, I think this is the second time you get to see the personality of the clones. And you really get to see them understand this war isn't just us fighting against droids.
Yeah, the second time with a little bit of casual racism from Boyle.
Oh,
Yeah, a little bit.
yes.
Tailhead does not sound like a term of endearment.
No. So, I mean, we start off, they try to land the smaller vendors. What are those called? I can never remember their names. Acclimators. They try to land those, and obviously they're getting blown out of the sky by the cannons, which when we were rewatching it, Bryan goes, "Bryan, what'd you say?"
Which part about the shields?
No, you were like, "All right, let's fly in a V formation so that they can shoot us
it's
all
nice
down."
height. They can just shoot us all together.
Yeah. And
They
I'm
always
like,
do that.
Flying V.
Yeah.
V.
Big V.
Big V. So that's not
Are
like-
Wax and Boyle the Bash Brothers? I like it.
Yes.
Ooh, yes. Yeah, I do. That's actually really good reference. Another thing, is it just me, or do droid generals seem a lot more menacing than the humanoid generals for the Separatists?
Yeah, it's that cold calculation, that cold hard logic.
And like I said
Besides
earlier,
the
they would
spider
have.
guy.
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah.
Trench is awesome.
Trench is the best.
Yeah, just hey, stop that
But
right
they're also
now.
like a lot of them are more effective than because like the humans are all like comedic relief half the time.
Yes.
like the guy in the last episode. So like they're
Oh.
definitely more effective. Obviously they
Well-
lose anyways, like all the other separatists, but they're
Well-
they're definitely better at their job.
One more general throw out there, O.C. Sobek with the Christopher Walken voice.
Yes.
I
Yes.
would also like to add, the main thing I love about the 2008 Clone Wars to the Tadavosky Clone Wars is I love how they like show strategy. In the 2003 Clone Wars, no offense, it's most of them just running in a straight line and going to fight. In this,
Yep.
I love how it's way more tactical. Okay, we need to go here, and do this, and do this, and then we need to hit them there.
But like that's
I mean, how
anime,
much strategy do you
Like-
want in a 5-minute episode?
like yeah.
I don't know, man. I watched Naruto.
It's
Yeah,
anime
that's
fighting.
strategy.
They all just run at each other, and that's
Yeah,
the
come
fight.
on.
Like there's
It's
no
gotta
like
be looking cool. If we
No,
don't-
no, you fight and then you're like, oh, this was pretty good. Too bad.
You s-
I'm over there. And
Yeah.
Hereth plays
God damn it.
Battlefront. He's like trying to like actually like maneuver the squad. Like, we're gonna take point A. We're gonna like make it do a pincer formation to B. It's like, bro, I've already charged the C.
That's more like me. If we're gonna be on in our team, I'm like, all right, which position are we going?
spawn
and
on
then
me,
everybody
spawn on me. Let's go, let's
Yeah,
go.
everybody's just like, all right, we're going everywhere.
I just come in
Oh.
with my turret, just.
Cars in the back yelling, "Fight for it! Fight for it, you cowards!"
Yeah, always fun. So thoughts on Waxer and Boyle as characters in this episode? I mean, they're
Terrible
the focal
people.
point.
Terrible.
They're they're a focal point into the minds of most clones, if not all clones. So we get to see a little bit of a deeper dive into those characters. Obviously, like Malik said, doesn't start out great, but I think when they meet up with Numa, that changes everything. It opens their eyes and opens their minds to this is more than just us, like I said, fighting droids. It's us liberating people, helping any way we can. And Numa really does a great job in like getting them to that point. Open discussion on that.
Yeah, I mean, when we first see them, again, they're not being the most sensitive, but I mean, and it really goes to tell you like what the Jedi's aim is. They're like, remember, we are here to take back their homes. So, watch your fire. Like, we care about collateral damage. We care about life. Obviously, on the other side, they did. They were enslaving them, kidnapping them, starving creatures so that they can sick them on them. And they just did not care about life, and that ends up being the biggest difference. And my boy Waxer, whew, sorry,
Yeah.
makes me sad all the time.
Oh yeah,
Bro!
rip. We'll get to that one.
I made a really sad point while watching
In like
the
April.
episode that knowing the little girl, she probably added the clones to her
Oh no.
category.
No, so like when she shows up in Rebels, she's actually wearing clone armor and she has Boyle on her arm.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Really, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
Also, we had a discussion. Is Cham in this episode? Like is he like supposed to be a background character? Because at that point, all right, he threw me
No.
off the hat.
The Filoni hat.
Yeah,
No.
the Filoni hat. Is he's because they didn't originally have him there, right? He's not supposed to be there.
He's
Correct.
supposed to be with the freedom fighters, so I don't think he
Yes.
was captured.
Yeah, nah,
With
I
the
don't think
civilians.
he was there.
But we know for sure that the young one is in both Rebels and
Yes, I
And
believe
that-
that.
Numa for
Yeah.
sure is. Yeah.
Numa
Yes.
for sure is. Okay, yeah. I thought so. So
Also, doesn't Boyle have like a little Numa drawing somewhere?
Waxer did, because
Waxer
you
did,
see it.
yeah.
You see it on Umbara. It's like drawn on his helmet.
Oh man, that's rough. That's rough. So obviously Obi-Wan calling up Waxer and Boyle because in the beginning of the episode they're like ready to go. They want to see action, and he's like, "You're getting your wish. Let's go." They get called on a lot in this episode to either do scouting, do other mission stuff. To obviously we got to separate to make it a lot more risks, I should say. But back with Obi-Wan and Cody, probe droids. Have they not advanced probe droids from the Clone Wars to the Galactic Civil War?
If it ain't
Like-
broke, don't fix it.
I guess, but I mean, we get to see the more badass ones in Rebels, where they actually look like people. Not people, but like they're actually droids, and they're a lot more menacing. But it's like, I mean, I guess if you want to be cost effective, I guess it works, right?
It's just funny, like, because in Empire Strikes Back, it's like very slow and like not very maneuverable or whatever. And in this episode, it's just like flying
Yeah, it's
around.
weaving
Like,
back and
Mhm.
forth.
they had better technology during the Clone Wars than they did obviously during the
Yeah.
Empire.
Well, we know how cheap the Empire was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure.
So they're like, hey, we can give you 100 of these and they'll be really effective. They can move fast and scan areas, or we can give you 10,000. They move very slow, but you'll have more to cover more areas. Empire's like, give me that 10,000.
Yeah, pretty much. Absolutely.
Put the slow thrusters in them, the cheapest ones you got. Pretty much.
Mhm.
Yeah. So when we get to like I said, this episode in particular really shows the clones not just as soldiers. They have personalities, and you start seeing that obviously earlier in the season, but with this it really hits home that like they are not every clone is the same.
Mhm.
Which is great because they aren't droids. They have personalities. They do have feelings. They do have understanding. They in this the Clone Wars in general. Yes, we're following Anakin, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, but the clones are really what makes the show the show, because it is the Clone Wars. You have to have some stance of having the clones have some personality, or they would just be like the droids.
Yeah,
No, go ahead.
the scene where when Numa takes them to her bombed house, and like they just look at it. It's really good. But I was thinking like, wow, this is the precursor. This is the prologue to the stuff we got with like Hauser and the Batch and Fives later on. Like this is where this is the first like seeds of that stuff being planted in these men, and then later on we find out about the chips and all that, but like this is like how it starts, and that them learning to be their own people, not just soldiers, not just numbers.
Well, yeah, and this is the first civilian clone interaction we have at this point, right? Correct?
I think the only clones episode I remember before that was Rookies.
Mhm.
But they didn't have
Not rookies, I'm
civilians.
sorry. Yeah, well, no, I'm saying I'm trying to think of all the clone-centered episodes before this, and I think
yeah.
I think the only one I remember is Rookies. Yeah.
Yeah, Dave Filoni said that this was actually one of his very first ideas when the show started. Is he liked the idea of like soldiers with a child that they're protecting throughout, and this was the first time that they got to model that and got to model someone so young. And also, they went to town on Twi'leks, having different sizes. You know what I mean? Like this was a really like this arc was super expensive for them to make, just because of how much extra work they did.
All the budget went on Frita. All the budget went on
He
Frita.
ate the whole budget. He ate the whole budget.
Yeah, he literally ate the whole budget.
Also, I was going to say, Filoni does love his reluctant father figures. The people that are just forced to be father figures and protect something.
So it's really important for the clones to see like what they're fighting for and to like humanize them in this arc. So the civilians definitely like brought a lot to this arc.
Looking at some
And
of
it
the
also-
chat. Oh, go ahead, Choco.
It also, considering this how early this is in the show, really separates the clones from stormtroopers. Stormtroopers that would be uncaring and stuff. you got to see something a lot different.
Yeah.
And I mean, we kind of do see that. I know I was talking about it at the end when we were mentioning it while they're leaving. You know, it's like, oh, we'll be back. Yeah, to conquer.
Yeah.
And you're not lying.
Yeah, this
Yeah, it's
whole
just
arc
like,
is
you
a
know-
lot. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's just like America's like, yeah, we're here to bring you democracy. Oh, you have oil? We're bringing you here to bring you more democracy.
We are the liberators. That
Oh,
always
you
turns
got
out
that
well, right?
dunium, that glitter stem. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean,
Hey, I'm here to bring democracy. No, thanks. We're good. Oh no, I wasn't asking.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
This arc gets hella uncomfortable when you know like what's coming and you think
Yes.
about like what's coming in the future. Like particularly, we'll talk about the 3rd episode, but like yikes, like hindsight's a mother.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So obviously back at the droid camp, the droid general, obviously with the probe droids, knows what Obi-Wan and Cody are gonna do. Well, he's got these nasty looking beasts. And let me tell you, the funniest part of the episode has to be hands down when the droid commander hits the button and the one beast like tries to engulf the gut cores or gut cores. Is that what they're called?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Guckers.
something like that.
And
It eats the B1 battle droid, yeah.
yeah, it's a B1 battle droid, spits it out. He's like, you get the point. Like the general's like, you get the point why they're not gonna be like against us.
He said like they need organic meat. It's like really
Yes.
they can't digest metal.
Yeah.
Shocking. Like
I thought this was
Rather than
Star Wars.
inorganic meat. Yeah.
Yeah, but like those beasts, if it like honestly think about that and what the Twi'leks have to deal with on Ryloth. Like Ryloth is dangerous as hell. You have those things, you have obviously the separatists to deal with on Ryloth and the Empire later on, but like it's like a wasteland. Like it's like what, why?
most planets have their dangerous
This is
creatures.
true.
I hate these
I'm-
things. They look like giant like lice or cockroaches.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Terrible.
like they're just big bugs.
I don't like them. No.
No, yeah. I thought they were very effective. Obviously, we get our first look at a Jedi using the Force on a creature.
Mhm.
Am I correct on that, Choco?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
Choco,
well,
what
there
do
we
you
go.
think?
Well, I mean, I think it is, unless you want to say Luke patting the tauntaun, but I don't think that really counts.
I mean, Anakin did use the Force on the animal.
But like,
He used it twice. One to surf on that creepy
Oh.
little thing, and again in the arena fight. He used
Yeah,
That's
to
right.
calm the bull thing.
the reek.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Why is Cody such a jerk in that one scene where the one clone's like incredible, then Cody goes, "Quiet, rookie!" Like,
Yeah.
what? He just said it's incredible.
Yeah. It's like, come on.
we don't like Cody, so it's Cody slander. It's
Yeah,
built
I
into
guess
the
We're
show.
okay with Cody slander.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
we're okay with Cody slander. Element's got a question. Filoni got a lot of the Clone Wars from Republic Commando, correct?
Yeah, I remember in an interview, Filoni was a big Republic Commandos guy. He said he was I remember he talked about like bringing them in that one arc. Like he was very excited.
Yeah,
so
the
it would make
Gregor
a lot of
arc.
sense.
Yeah, the
Which is funny because because the Clone Wars is actually what killed that book series.
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Karen Travis is writing is like, oh, okay, there's gonna be a couple more stories, and then they're like, nope, it's not canon, and she's like, God damn it!
They'd be like, I smell profit.
Brooke asked, didn't Obi-Wan do it to the Boga 2? In episode 2, I think he did, right?
I mean, Boga is the Ractal that he rides in. Episode 3.
right.
Mhm.
I mean, in the novelization, he does touch minds with it when he first like rinse it from whoever.
Rinse.
So yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy didn't get it back.
No. He did not. He did not get it back.
That
Poor
might not have been
Obi-Wan.
the worst part of his day, though, because, like, you know, right after
Yeah,
the
it's like,
Separatists are
hey.
defeated, and then the clones just go, "Okay,
We're
in charge
free.
now."
Yeah.
We're
So-
free. More like under new management. Not really.
Yeah. So you're gonna have to get walking that way. We own this planet.
This is mine's now.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much.
This is a nice pony
Utapau
guy
is
here.
fine.
Uh-huh. So once Obi-Wan is able, so they run into Waxer and Boyle. They ultimately get, so with Waxer and Boyle, they go to the house, then they go into the tunnel. Numa leads them to a out hole, and like all of a sudden, like they see the pothole, the top move, and like everybody points their guns, and it's like Obi-Wan's like, I don't think you want to do that. And then all three of them show up, and it's like, good call, Obi-Wan. It's like
Cody's like, where have you two been? No, being a jerk
he's,
again.
he's such a stickler. Such a stickler. Such a stickler.
I mean, also Boyle and Waxer were totally gonna lie to him about what happened.
Yeah.
All right, here's the story. We're gonna tell him.
Our communications were jammed. We ran into trouble. We got pinned down by droid.
Yeah.
We fought
Yeah.
our way out, shooting through all the droids. Yeah, we got here. We're lucky.
Grievous shows up. He was insane.
So they're like, you were late. And they're like, but secret tunnel.
Yeah.
Secret tunnel.
Yeah. Then Numa's able to lead Obi-Wan, and by the way, thank Qui-Gon for teaching Obi-Wan so many freaking languages. By the way, like without that, Obi-Wan would have been useless. So let's give a little bit of
That's a bit over. That's a bit like over. Yeah,
Oh,
not
come on.
useless.
I don't. He didn't use languages to trap all the gut crits. He used some flippies, some flippy flips.
Yeah,
That would look so weird in live action if you think about it.
Oh, the way he like bounced off the freaking wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little bit.
So
Looks great in Tony Hawk.
it does. Very underrated game. So Obi-Wan, so Numa leads them to where all the rest of the Twi'leks are being held. Obi-Wan, Waxer, and Boyle, obviously the boys. We're gonna call them the three squad now, because literally it's Obi-Wan. Cody just is the distraction. He's not very useful I mean, he's useful, but he's like, I want Waxer and Boyle because they've proven themselves this entire trip. So let's go. They end up taking out the remainder of the droids while Cody is using that as a distraction for Obi-Wan.
We can't
No,
skip
go
over one thing. So when Obi-Wan holds Numa and we get like Dilf Obi-Wan
Yes.
for a few seconds there, we're like, whew! I don't think the canon was ready for that one.
Yeah. So then we get that whole sequence. Obi-Wan, Mace lands, obviously. We see the forces coming down. Waxer and Boyle. Numa goes and finds Waxer and Boyle. And she says, Nara. And then they ask Obi-Wan, what's that mean? And it means brother. And back to the whole point of connection between civilian and clone. That's really the biggest thing that hits home in this episode, at least for me, is that it humanizes minds in how they take part in this war. So I thought that was really, really nice and really touching for the second episode.
In my personal headcanon, I like to think it actually means like an insult, and like Obi-Wan just tells him it's brother.
Yeah.
To like spare their feelings.
Yeah.
It's just like, I heard you when you called me tailhead. But also when you said brother, it made me think of the song from Pokemon, the first movie. Brother, my brother, tell me who we fighting for. Are we gonna win this war?
Damn.
Beautiful.
That was nice. That was nice. So now we're on Mace Windu's episode.
Yeah.
Which Mace Windu's not my favorite Jedi, but I particularly like him in this one because you get to see more of what Mace Windu is out on the field. We always hear that he is Yoda's second in command, but you really get a sense of how great of a warrior he is. I mean, just starting off, he pushes a ATT walker, which, by the way, costs 1 million credits probably again. It's just like, you know what? This is causing trouble. We're gonna move this out of the way. We don't need it. And it's just like he moves it single, just by himself. He doesn't need any help. This is also the first canon mention, or we see the ATRTs, the chicken walkers, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the way that Mace uses those walkers is spot on. Like in this episode, he's literally, I don't want to say OP, but he's like pretty damn powerful. Like he's coming from
those walkers. Those walkers
Yeah.
are way too fast, and they can also like zigzag. And you're
Strafe.
like,
Straight.
you're like, okay.
Strafe harder.
If like a 15-foot tall like pair of chicken legs could run like that, like you'd be in trouble.
Oh yeah, it'd be rough.
Yeah, Mace gets a bad rap, but like because of his position, like he's overseeing other stuff. You know, we typically see the Clone Wars through the eyes of like Anakin, but you know this entire conflict, for instance, Mace is managing the actual thing that they're doing, and so he might not be the nicest person to talk to, but he's like, you gotta break this blockade so that we can save those people. And you're like, oh, he could have asked me nicer. But you're like, no, he's dealing with stuff way, above
higher
your
up.
pay grade,
Yeah.
So the perception from like in Anakin's perspective, because he's on the front line doing this thing, is like, I wish you just give me more reinforcements. He's like, no. Why? Because we're fighting a war on many different fronts, and I'm sure there's other assets needed at certain places, other blockades that need to be broken. So I kind of like that. That's one of the reasons I love this arc, is because it gives us that big view. But he's badass, and that whole scene where they cut the sound, and he's just like whooping ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Filoni saw the 2003 Clone Wars and he's like, all right, I got to give Mace this moment. Mace had a whole episode where he just decimated an army.
When he body shots that one B2, I'm like, bruh.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The Tartakovsky episode when he's on Dantooine. Now that is OP. That's just ridiculously OP.
Is that the
but
one where
like,
he just crushes all the droids?
It beats him with his fists.
yeah,
It negates the purpose for the war.
I could take out 100 droids at once. Like, why are we shooting? Like,
just send Mace Windu into every battlefield from the 2003 Tartakovsky. There wouldn't be a war. He would
Well, it's just because they have
out.
so many droids. That's the reason. They just have so many droids.
This is true. They do realistically, the droids should have won the war because they outmanned. Well, they were able to produce more than the clones.
Outmanned
you see
and
the
outgunned.
Yeah,
you see in Attack of the Clones how fast they can make droids, and it takes like 4 or 5 years to make a clone. Like they're not even the speed of production is not even close. So. And the lag on producing clones is incredible because it takes so long.
There was a whole bill to make new clones that Padme was against. That's another thing that holds up the process. Getting the approval from the Senate to make more. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's essentially like, oh, we should make more slaves, and they're like, and Padme's like, no.
How about we don't do this?
Why don't we talk to them? That was that episode about. She's like, can we talk to them and try to open up a dialogue? And you're like, no, we're gonna kill them.
We like the clone idea more. just seems better, you know?
Who is it that talks to Padme about the Clone Wars? Like, what? And they're like, oh, have you ever thought to just let the Separatists just leave?
That's Thrawn.
Yeah, Thrawn. Like, why don't you just let the Separatists leave?
That's the politics of like, is like the worlds that fall under the Separatists, I think, were more just like true believers and like they want their own financial system, the taxes, whatever, outside the Republic. It's like, but the thing is, the people at the top, like Dooku and the people pulling strings like Palpatine, like they didn't care about any of that stuff. The whole thing was just a means to an end for him. So,
Oh yeah. Saint Pat says this arc totally made me understand Mace better, and you do get to see Mace in a different light, especially when he meets up with Cham Syndulla, which canonically is the second time we see Cham, because George, let's make everything ass backwards. You have to watch this in this season, so that's tough. But we really get to see Cham and Mace meet and do interesting things. You get to see more about Mace and his diplomatic ways, and not just the force, the badass that he is as a Jedi. He also tries to get Cham to understand this is not permanent. At least he doesn't hope it's permanent, but doesn't.
It's not permanent.
Yeah, not permanent.
Wink.
Yeah. So
we are not here to occupy.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
We're here to save you.
Yeah, pretty much.
When they first get to the cave, and that little girl runs to the Cham, my heart was like, Hereth? No, that's not Hereth. She wasn't a thing yet.
So was that her?
But
it's her brother. It's her
brother. Oh. Yikes. Yeah. I didn't realize that. Yikes.
Do you think we'll ever get like a canon story about how he died? Is that ever described in canon? Or no?
No. We didn't even know about it till Rebels. Till he's looking at the Thrawn's looking at the Calicori, and he's like, "Oh, this says you have a brother that died really young." And then we got the connection in Bad Batch where we're seeing young Hera, and she's looking at Omega, and it's like, you're so lucky that you have your brothers. And you're like, oh damn,
ow,
that's a lot of damage.
Hera was alive though, right? Because she was how old in Bad Batch? Which is only a few years after this.
Yeah, she'd be alive.
She's somewhere with her mother, somewhere on the planet.
Yeah.
Another Rebels thing is like, as I watch these ships go down, I'm like, man, one of those has that little war criminal on. That little war criminal's on one of those, and he's crashing somewhere.
No, yeah. So I mean, I like how Mace is able to try to get him to sit down with what's the senator's name?
Fritar.
Fritar, the money sucker of the show, as we would like to call him, the money sucker of the show. But so getting to the opposite side, Walk Tambor, greediest guy ever. Like Choco said earlier, he literally does not leave when he is supposed to because he wants to rob the entire planet of its resources and of its like jewels. Like you can't find the biggest like piece of crap.
Dooku's like, why are you still here? I told you to go.
The other most important thing he tries to do is like destroy the planet so that they can have the narrative that like this is what happens when the Republic shows up and fights us. Like you destroy the whole planet, you kill all these civilians. Like so they wanted like some scorched earth policy, but like to frame it as the Republic and the clones are like destroying the place. That was his other like whole like narrative he was going with. So
did Dooku...
Also,
sorry.
Oh, I like to think because there's an Easter egg in there. They maybe he was so hell bent on taking stuff because the Ark of the Covenant was there. You see them load the Ark of the Covenant from Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, that's right.
In this episode, you see him loaded on the ship. That's why he was there. He was trying to.
That was going to end the war. They were going to open that up.
But I was like, oh, it just melts on the Jedi's face.
Yeah.
It doesn't help you at all.
No. And like the other thing, it's like Wok Tambor underestimates the Jedi, even though he was there in the first battle of Geonosis. Like, why?
Mhm.
Why are you overlooking Jedi? You should know that you're in trouble. You should just say, screw it, I don't need this shit. Let's get out of here because we know what's coming. But
He
as we
somehow
know,
thought his walled city was impenetrable, which didn't make any
Good
sense
joke.
anyways.
Well, I mean, in his defense, it nearly was. I mean, you had this badass blockade preventing them from coming into the planet. You had this amazing things to shoot down any ships that were even coming nearby. Like, they really made it through each checkpoint by saving throws. You know what I mean? Like, there's
a lot of luck.
They're armed to the teeth.
I love Watambor later on in Revenge of the Sith. When skipping out a little bit, but when Anakin is like killing the Separatist leaders, I love him at the table going, "Where am I gonna go? What am I gonna do? I don't know."
I can't roll fast.
But he literally doesn't have feet. So
No, that's
Yeah.
When he rolls, he's like,
you get a better
Exact.
sense in this episode that he basically glides across the ground because underneath his robe is like wheels or a ball or something.
it's a
you
bunch
know,
of mice.
Yeah. Going back, I also love the little foreshadowing to the Empire where he's like after the war is over, isn't the clones gonna stay with us and help us like secure the peace? And Mace's like, yes. And I was like,
Wait.
oh no. I was like, no.
we've got our sexiest clone right here, Hauser, to help you out.
No, yeah.
there will be peace.
So
You'll be
speaking
sure
of
of that.
speaking of the Ryloth freedom fighters, when I saw this episode, and I always think this, I feel like Filoni's like a little bit of his inspiration for the freedom fighters was like the Republic is the U.S. and like we were helping the Middle East in the 1970s, 60s, and 70s fight the Soviets.
Helping.
Yeah, helping. Helping. Sorry, we got to put that in quotations.
Or Panama or
Or-
like a lot
but
of
it's
these
like-
places the
Yeah, it
rebels
just
that we helped.
I just feel like it and then they are a section of like this is what happens. Like you promised to leave and you haven't left. And
Mhm.
it just sours the relationship between everybody in the end.
So they're altering the deal. Pray they do not alter any further.
Yeah,
I
pretty
have
much.
altered the deal. Pray that I do not alter it any further.
I think Panama is actually a perfect example because we helped them gain independence from Colombia just so we could then get what we wanted, which was the canal zone,
Yeah,
which we then kept
Yeah.
for like 100 years, and we're like, this is ours. But we helped you.
All
We
of your
helped you.
base are now belong to
Yes.
us.
any economic potential this like piece of land that is your country has, we control that because that's what we want. That's the
America.
only reason we came here, but we got you freedom from the Colombians. So you're welcome.
There's also another group of freedom fighters that Filoni drew inspiration from another show that he led or helped lead, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Jet and those
Mhm.
freedom fighters.
Gotcha.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, I kept calling the city Omashu because it basically was. So
We also got to see a young Gobi.
Yes.
And he was just like an idiot. He's still an idiot.
It's
but
true. But so eventually the Republic and the freedom fighters join forces. They're able to come to an agreement, which doesn't become an agreement because it's always broken in the end. But they don't know that. We know that. So in between that, Dooku's like, get the hell out of there. We'll blow it up once you leave. And I'm like, that is just sinister Dooku. He doesn't care at all. And I'm like, that is totally on point. So obviously Mace and Cham are trying to figure out how they're going to get into the city without harming the citizens. Pushed everybody to the front of the city, obviously. And how ironically, but a convoy comes through with valuable goods. Huh. Great timing. So they
Hoisted
get
by his own petard.
yeah, absolutely. So they hop in, they get across. I think it's so funny that the droids are like, "Oh, there's life forms in here. What do you think is going on? Like, why is that there?" And Mace is just like, "Okay, here we go. You gone." And then he just shows off his badassery by jumping from one to the other. Did anybody like hear the ringing? Like it was I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah, the audio just gets like really like weird when Mace does his thing, doesn't it?
Yes.
Mhm.
And I was like, that's very like Saving Private Ryan-esque. They do that a lot in Saving Private Ryan. So that was kind of interesting.
I kind of thought of it as, like that's Mace like really getting in tune with the Force, like blocking out his surroundings and just focusing on the task at hand.
Same.
Oh, I love he puts his hand up to the glass and then just like shatters it, and it's
Shatter point.
And because he truly does, he cares about all the troopers and stuff like that. And I don't know. I picture someone else like punching through it with their arm and just like sending glass shards. I don't know. Oh, also, this is our first canonical seeing of blurgs.
Yes,
Oh,
blurgs.
yes,
I love that
blurgs.
name so much.
Yes, and I love the fact that the Twi'leks are like, yeah, that chicken walker isn't faster than a blurg. and you even see like a clone get on top, and it's just like it like almost bucks him off, and I was like, that's funny.
These babies will do 60 miles an hour, no problem.
yeah, pretty much. So
Spanks it like yeah.
So then they make it into the city. Mace pretty much takes out all the droids while the clones get the bridge back up because it was taken out. And they capture Wok Tambor, and like Mace is like surrender, and then Cham comes in and goes, and then Wok Tambor is like, "What's the terms?" Like unconditional. I was like, "That's a badass quote by Cham right there." Put it in there, and obviously the bombers come in, and here comes Ahsoka and Anakin. Like, great timing, guys. You couldn't have been here earlier to help us out. Great. They show up, and then we get Tambor captured. The Ryloth and the Republic forces win the day. Here's the question, though. How does Wok Tambor escape from Republic custody by the time of Revenge of the Sith?
Push-ups, sit-ups, and plenty of juice.
There's no canonical story of that, right?
No, as far as we know, he'll get out of it. Like maybe Dooku sent like Ventress or someone or Grievous,
kind of like she did for
I'm trying
Gunray.
And they also did something very similar for Poggle.
Yes.
Okay.
And that the one with Poggle is actually covered in Catalyst, the book Catalyst. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there's something. I have something rolling around, but I can't grasp it. So.
You'll think about it. But that is going to be the end of the Ryloth Arc.
Before we wrap it up, can we just talk about like the protocol droids are like hilarious in this arc, because like the one protocol droid just goes like, man, forget Watambor, we're out of here.
Yeah.
And then before that, the one that does an evil laugh in the tank, ha 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 in the tank. Like protocol droids are so funny in this arc.
Or you get the one that when Obi-Wan walks by and he like clashes the other droid and he's like, oh man, he like closes the door.
Isn't there a better door?
Yeah. Absolutely. I'll start with Choco. Ranking of the arc from youngling to grandmaster. Where does this arc sit for you?
I think it's I put it as Jedi Master. It's not grandmaster, but it's as an arc, it does things for the Clone Wars that I don't believe other arcs do. at least not on this level. And for something so early, this really set the stage for the show. Like you could tell the love that went into crafting this arc, and it gave us. I mean, I feel like every person involved in this arc, we got such a better understanding of who they are, why they do what they do. Like it built tons of character for every person that we see again. Yeah, I'm gonna go Master.
Malik?
I think I'm gonna have to go with Jedi Knight. Because like it's good and there's a lot of good stuff in there. There is my biggest gripe. So like that first episode is really hard to watch with the animation wise nowadays. Like I'm not gonna hold it too hard against them, but like man, did they improve with animation? Like when Anakin and Ahsoka would talk, it just would not match what they were saying at all.
Were terrible.
But like it's just like it's not even the fact that like it's a really good arc, but like for what comes later down the line, like that stuff's more my bread and butter. Where this is just like good. Other stuff's like amazing. You know, like I enjoyed it, but like not like my personal. Like, I'm not gonna go back and rewatch this one a lot.
Gotcha. Everybody in the chat, let us know what your guys' ranking is of this arc. Chris?
I would say probably prior to Bad Batch and Rebels, this would probably be Jedi Knight, but with the addition of Bad Batch and Rebels and seeing all the connective themes throughout it, that this would probably go to Jedi Master.
Okay. All right. I'm kind of with you. Bryan?
I agree. I think Jedi Master is fair between the first episode with the growth with Ahsoka. And I love like finally getting to see Mace, because like in the movies, Mace is like criminally underused in terms of like you basically get the end of Attack of the Clones and then him fighting Palpatine, and like that's it. You know, it's just mostly him sitting at the Jedi Temple doing not a lot. So I love that they finally like gave him a time to shine, and so that was great. So.
St. Pat asked what the ranking system is real quick.
It's like it, love it, gotta have it, I believe.
Yeah, pretty much. Youngling, Padawan, Jedi Knight, Jedi Master, Grandmaster is the best. So Aiden said Jedi Master, agreed with Choco, Chris, and Bryan. Element said Jedi Knight, so he kind of is with Malik.
It's okay to be wrong, Element. It's fine.
Hereth, what is your ranking?
Not to follow the group opinion, but Jedi Master for sure. It's such an underrated arc, I would say, after rewatching it. Because at first, when you watch season 1, I was like, I don't know if it's going to be that good, because season 1 overall has a couple good arcs, but not like banger overall. So when I rewatched it with the context of Rebels and Bad Batch, I was like, this is amazing.
There's your response, Bryan.
It's okay. We still love you, Element. It's fine.
Just for context for the listeners, Element 7 states, I'm wrong on the Daily Bread Man. St. Pat says Jedi Master, always love me arcs with clone-centered episodes. I just love the planet Ryloth. But I'm going to have to be in agreement with majority of the group. I'd say Jedi Master. It does have a lot of connective tissue to it. And I think that's what makes it great. I think this is the first real arc that we get to see real growth between all of our characters that we love and see throughout the show. Quickly, we've got Star Wars news. I want to get to I can never say his name. He's going to be in the new Eternals movie. He was on Silicon Valley.
Oh, Kumail Nanjiani?
Yes, Kumail Nanjiani. I'm probably going to butcher that. But he was recently interviewed, obviously doing press for Eternals, and he said some things about like the process and how he was asked everything. Basically, he said that his agent got a call, said it was for Star Wars, and he was like, yeah, I'm in. Like you didn't even have to ask me what I wanted to play or what I did. You don't even have to tell me anything. And honestly, that's so exciting because now we're seeing people that are also fans arts, which I think is interesting. Now, what character do we think he's going to be playing in Obi-Wan? What are our guesses?
He said a new version of a character we've seen before, I believe. Am I correct in that one?
Yes.
Yes.
So, I
I mean, can we just take a moment to appreciate, like, damn, like,
Yes.
he looks different than he did on Franklin and Bash. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
it's the Marvel diet, man. Once Marvel gets a hold of you, you're getting jacked. Paul Rudd, Chris Pratt, like look at them. They weren't jacked for. Marvel said you're ours now, so you better get them gains, boys.
I think like Chris Pratt, he said like they didn't ask him to get shredded, but like he felt like that's what he wanted to do because you're like a comic book like superhero, you know what I mean? Like you want to look like I'm gonna do something, not just like I have superpowers and like I just look like an average Joe, you know. So he wanted to look.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that actually what Chris Evans did? Like he didn't even have the role yet, and he got huge and was like, "See," and they're like, "Well, yeah, we gotta hire him now."
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, he's no longer what's his name? He's no longer Human Torch." So
There's two instances that I love. One, it's Tom Hiddleston came in jacked because he auditioned originally for Thor, and second, John Krasinski because on The Office, Jim just gets jacked out of nowhere, and you're like, what happened? Because he was auditioning for Captain America at the time.
Yeah. And then he saw Thor and was like, "Nope, can't hang. I can't.
Nope.
I can't compete."
Yeah, pretty much. Element 7 thinks I think this is obviously I don't know how serious he is about this. But
Yeah.
he wants Quinlan Vos. I don't know.
He's gonna just
that's
roll
a
up.
joke.
He's just gonna roll up in the boat at the desert, like I'm here, guys.
Nah,
I'm back on Tatooine. I can
Element
take my
7
cover back.
I feel like Element 7 has a revolver and there's only one bullet in it and it says Quinlan Vos. And like anytime it's like, who is this? Like, Quinlan Vos.
Quinlan Vos.
So this one is part joke, but I thought maybe it could be Shredded Het. Maybe we're getting Shredded Het back in canon again.
Is that the Tusken?
Yes, the Tusken Raider Jedi.
See, that's what it makes me think is Tusken. But like, why would you?
I jokingly said that the other day. I'm like, what if he's the most shredded Tusken or and everyone in the server was like, haha, funny. I'm like, but
so like I guess it's technically Legends like Shredded Het is, but like the Tuskens aren't truly like anyone can be a Tusken or become a Tusken, so like that character was a Jedi Padawan who trained under Ki-Adi Mundi. I just don't want to like make the Middle Eastern guy a Tusken Raider. I don't know.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Fair point.
Yeah, that's not the greatest. I mean,
although if
he's a character we've seen before.
Yeah, that's why it made
Max Rebo.
We got him, R2. We got him, R2.
Wow, that's a pull. That makes sense.
I mean,
holy crap!
Are there any
little blue guy? He's like, but he's all jacked. And he's like,
are there any other like characters that like are of any importance that like you see in like the Cantina scene in like A New Hope or like let's say face characters that aren't like a blue alien? Like, is there anyone else that stands out? Like,
what if he's playing Pong Zababa and he just talks and you just hear Kumail's voice come out of that? Hi, I hope I lost my arm.
That's a legitimate question I've been meaning to post. Is he gonna talk different now? Because like he's still the Solarian scientist from Mass Effect Andromeda to me, but no. What if he's someone like Bausch?
See, like he never changes his voice ever, so I don't think he will. Because like he's in Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War as an orc, and he's just Kumail, but as an orc, he's like, "Hey, I'm going to cut off your head."
Yeah, Conan O'Brien makes a joke about that during like their like video.
Is that the second one?
Yeah, Shadow of War.
Yeah,
Okay.
Shadow of War.
Dang, I didn't play that one. The first one, I was always hunted by Ugdabao of the Hot Blades. That guy was the bane of my existence. Everywhere I went, oh my god, I still like sweat.
Get Shadow of War, because then you can import him to the next game and continue your rivalry with him.
he would just get buffer and buffer every time. I'm like, and that was he has 2 axes and they're on fire. It was like, leave me alone.
And so
my nemesis was Feldouche the Painbringer.
That game is low key. I love playing that game.
I want that nemesis system, but like put it in a superhero game.
Yeah,
or Star Wars. Yeah, or a Star Wars game. It works so a bounty hunter game with a nemesis system.
That
like,
would be great.
you know, like a botched jobs or a guy you thought you finished, you didn't finish off. He's like, I'm back to get revenge. That would be sick.
So to end the show, there was a article where they asked the director of the Ninth Jedi if this episode was a possibility to getting an actual series, and he came out and said that it was. Now I want to gauge everybody's interest in it.
Yes,
I think
yes.
I think everybody's pretty much on board for this show, right?
Yes,
because this means we can get like more of the continuum. I need more of the Elder. Like, come on, yes, like let's get rolling on this.
Like, I love Ninth Jedi was my favorite episode. I loved it because it felt like it could fit canon wise into Star Wars, like into the timeline, and I was like, oh, like the way Cara was able to like advance, like the Jedi, like the lightsabers were different to every user and it changed.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was because that was a Legends thing, wasn't it?
Kind of.
Yeah.
This was done. This is what people believe the Legends thing to be, which is better. But no, in Legends, you would take a test and then they would just give you a crystal that color. Like all the crystals had colors already, and so it didn't interact with how you did stuff. They would just be like, "Oh, you fight like this. Here's a blue one," you know. But
I thought it was a canon misconception. I always thought like people assumed this is what kyber crystals were like in canon. They always just change colors depending to the user.
And that's true as well. I feel like this is just going to screw a lot of people up. But it's okay. Yeah. I definitely want more of this story, though, because we have like these 3 different Jedi that are at different levels, right? You have someone who's just getting into it. You have the boy, I can't remember his name.
Ethan.
He's just eager. He's like, let's go, you know? And then the big alien guy who like loses control of his emotions.
Yeah, apparently, and gets really easily manipulated. Oh man, it's been a long day. But guys, that is going to be a wrap for this episode. But Choco, got something?
Well, I was gonna ask if we can introduce one last piece of news because apparently the other day, Daisy Ridley went out to breakfast with Kathleen Kennedy.
Yes.
And people were speculating, does that mean something?
It's again, this comes not too long after those Finn show rumors as well. So
right. And Daisy said that they regularly talk, you know, her and all like the other co-stars, and Finn has said, or John Boyega said, like, I would come back as long as like JJ and Kathy are attached to it. And I'm just like,
you know which one I found so wholesome? She talks to the actress who played her mom, and I'm like, that's very wholesome. They didn't interact at all in the movie, but I love they like, I played your mom. Yeah, we're friends now.
So this is the worst nightmare for people like Mike Zero and all of those other folks. Like it's like this is the like oh no, this shit is actually happening. Like the sequels are real. We're finally discovering that the sequels are real. And
there's a lot coming down the pipeline that's making them realize, wow, we're like a lot of those like channels are like, wow, so they are canon. Crap.
Right, like the Lando and Luke book, Shadow of the Sith.
Yeah.
Yes.
War of the Bounty Hunter.
Yes. We just got a whole lot of Star Wars coming.
Did you guys see today that Christopher Walken said he auditioned for Han Solo?
I heard about that.
What could have been
George Lucas's like second pick. Like, but he said his audition was horrific, and he would have done it terrible. Like, I saw that like a few times. I was like, that's incredible.
That would have been the worst energy for anyone next to Gilbert Gottfried.
Imagine him and Chewie playing off each other.
Hey, Chewie, hit the hyperdrive.
I've been around this galaxy a long time. Never seen anything like the Force. Illusions of grandeur. It's nothing for a good old blaster, kid.
Oh my God.
That would have killed the whole like A New Hope would have been it. There would have been it would have just been the Star Wars movie, and then we would have had nothing after that.
Oh my
It would have been
God.
bad.
You're a wonderful human being, Jabba.
Just give me a little more time. I'll get you the money.
Oh gosh, guys. Choco, starting with you. Where can we find you?
Once again, Darth Choco on TikTok, on YouTube. I do have a little podcast called The High Ground. I believe everyone here besides Bryan has been on there. Bryan's been invited.
Yeah, he's turned him down.
One day.
And then I also have Died in the Forest. That's me in Element 7. And that typically happens on Saturdays. If not Saturdays at 5 p.m., it's Sundays at 2, which it will be this week because my little brother's in town. I just talk Star Wars. I'm branching out to other geek stuff, and I would be honored if you would join me.
We would be honored if you would join us. Thank you.
You didn't even ask me any questions.
Malik, where can the good people follow you?
I'm sorry, I'm stuck on Christopher Walken on Solo. My brain's just reimagining the entire franchise now with Christopher Walken.
Just do the "that's great, kid. Don't get cocky" in his voice. Just do it. Just do it.
Do it.
That's great, kid. Just don't get cocky.
I just
Chewie.
I want to see
We're
him
home.
Never
talking
tell
to
me
Kylo Ren.
the odds.
That's the shit I was thinking of. It's like, man, the face of my son. You can find me. You can find me at the Jedi Smark on TikTok. I talk about wrestling, comics, Star Wars. I'm going to be doing just Christopher Walken impressions now on TikTok, though. You can find me doing my podcast. Ha! Exclamation point! It's a podcast on wherever you get your podcast: Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Podcast, Spotify. But
Chris.
All right. You can find me on Twitch, TikTok, and Instagram at StarWarsLawyer, and also find a podcast that I co-host called Too Black, Too Nerdy, wherever you listen to podcasts. Now on Spotify.
Bam.
Very nice.
And remember, everything the light touches is our kingdom.
Oh God.
Mufasa.
Yeah, thank you. Bryan?
You can try to find me, but
Okay, he got a new lightsaber. He's gonna be spinning that thing. Come on.
I don't know. Anyways,
Oh, come on.
Bryan with the beard, as you can see right here, is me on TikTok. Maybe I'll post something. You'll see me in the comments, that's for sure. And I'll be on Twitter at Gingerbeardman, just like making funny jokes. So
And Hereth?
You can find me at Hereth Productions on TikTok and on YouTube at the They Fly Now Show is a podcast I host every Monday. And we're going to have Malik on this Monday for Maul.
There we
Yes, I'll do
go.
my best to be there.
There we
Bring
go.
the Christopher Walken.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Chris-
You
oh,
have to,
are we
you
getting
have
Chris-
to do. You have to do a
At
mall
last,
version of Christopher
we
Walken.
reveal ourselves to the Jedi.
That's we're gonna save that for that's your incentive to watch the show. If you want to hear my Maul as Christopher Walken's Maul, you gotta watch the show now.
Monday. Guys, you can follow the
I picture him
podcast.
dropping to his knees, looking up at the sky, and saying, "No, big."
Oh my god.
Terrible.
All right, guys. You can follow the podcast at the Podwans on TikTok, at Podwans on Twitter, and at the Padawan Podcast or Padawans Pod on Instagram. Thank you all for joining me today. Thank you to the chat. We will be back on Thursday, talking the last episode of season 1.
Ooh,
Yeah.
debut of this absolute Chad.
Yes.
Chad Bane.
But as always, may the force be with you.
Punch it, Chewie.